Ever since the new generation Hyundai Creta made its global debut in the iX25 Avatar at the Shanghai Auto Show way back in 2019, we knew a three-row derivative would come our way at some point. That car has debuted some weeks ago as the Hyundai Alcazar. Now, in my review, you've heard me saying that the Alcazar is more than just a three-row Creta. This is a long wheelbase car, and so today we'll explain how it is different to the Creta. Now, when you've got two models coming off of the same platform, and especially in such a case where there is going to be a lot of comparison and similarity, well, then it's important to have styling changes which are very evidently making the two cars look different. It has been achieved to a certain extent here by Hyundai, and I think the biggest difference is the face. When you look at it, maybe not at first glance, but when you put the two cars together, you certainly see the huge difference. This is not a small grille by any stretch of the imagination, but speaking of stretch, it has been stretched out here and it goes all the way into the headlamp cluster. The idea is to make the Alcazar look bigger and wider up front, and I think it gets achieved to a certain extent. The finish is completely different, and so is the styling between the two. This one is finished in dark chrome and this one's finished in regular chrome. But you know what, those aren't even the only differences in styling terms between the two cars, not even the more drastic ones. So let's quickly run you through the rest. The Alcazar is 200mm longer than the Creta, and 150mm of that is in the wheelbase. The extended portion behind the C pillar accentuates the curved sculpting in the rear fender and adds a D pillar to the car. The Alcazar also gets a running footboard. The top-end trim gets these stylish 18-inch two-tone alloy wheels, while the base Prestige trim gets 17 inches. The Creta has 17-inch alloys at the top end and 16 inches on lower trims. But it's the rear of the Alcazar which is entirely new. It is a more conventional tail light stack, and the tailgate is also styled to give the appearance of a larger vehicle. I have to say, the styling seems a tad inspired by the Ford Endeavour, which is not a bad thing. So on the Alcazar, the length is of course longer, and so you do have body roll that creeps in. That to me is a very definite difference between this and the Creta, which is a lot sportier. And you know, it's not something that's evident all the time, but yes, high-speed lane changes and turns, well, that's when you'll really feel it. But it doesn't take away from the comfort factor too much, and in fact, I have to say that is the USP really on the Alcazar. It's definitely got great ride quality. For this segment and price point especially, you'll find that that's a very big deal. And yes, even in comparison to the Creta, sitting at the back, the extra little space that you get, and yes, that ride quality does make a difference. The petrol is a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine with 157 bhp and 191 Nm of peak torque. It is available with both 6-speed manual and torque converter automatic, both giving a fuel average of about 14.5 kilometers per litre. The diesel mill is shared with the Creta. It churns out 113 bhp and 250 Nm, and it's also offered with both 6-speed manual and automatic transmissions. The manual gives you about 20.4 kilometers per litre mileage, while the automatic delivers 18.1 kilometers per litre. The Creta has 3 powertrains and a wider range of transmission options. The 1.5-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine is mated either to a 6-speed manual or a 6-step CVT transmission. The top-of-the-line and sportier 1.4-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol motor puts out 138 bhp and a solid 242 Nm of peak torque. And this motor is exclusively available with only a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Then there's the same 1.5-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine as the Alcazar with the same 2 gearbox options as well. Now, when the first generation of the Creta came in, the car was appreciated, but let's face it, it wasn't really loaded on kit. I mean, even the DRLs, there weren't any, and I'm talking pre-facelift. Now you've got everything. This is just fully packed with features. And on the powertrain side, it's really great that you have this combination of the DCT with the turbo engine. To me, that's a master stroke. And to me, that's the thing that could have been done on the Alcazar. You could have got one of the bigger displacement turbo engines from the many that Hyundai, Kia have in their lineup globally. That didn't happen for perhaps cost reasons, or, well, let's face it, cost reasons. And that's the big difference. So if you want a car that's more fun to drive and you're more oriented towards that, you got to pick the Creta. The paddle shifts on the turbo only help. Now Shubham is going to run you through the differences inside the cabin. We begin with the Alcazar, which gets a 6 or 7-seater layout. The car with us is the 6-seater in its highest trim, Signature.
Well, initially, you may not feel how big this cabin is, and we much like this configuration, the 6-seater captain seat configuration, because the seats are really comfortable and you get this fixed central console. And it comes with options like you have your wireless charger here, cup holders, and more storage options. Then other features remain same. You get your sun blinds, these comfortable cushion on the headrest, and you have adjustment options. So you can adjust the seat front and back, your backrest, so you make more room for every passenger, even those sitting in the third row. And then usual options again, you have your aircon vents and charging options.
Getting in and out of the third row is a bit of a task thanks to the narrow door well, and it's not an ideal place for adults for longer drives. The boot space naturally gets compromised with all the seats up, but fold that third row down and you get a nice huge 579-litre boot. That's 146 litres more than the Creta's. The cognac brown dual-tone interior of the Alcazar does look more high-end than the Creta's two-tone cabin, but in terms of features, both SUVs are evenly matched. Both get Hyundai's Blue Link connected car suite. Top-end trims in both also get features like 64-color ambient lighting, voice commands, power adjustment for the driver seat, an 8-speaker Bose surround sound system, front ventilated seats, an electric parking brake, built-in air purifier, and more. But a lot of these features are standard across variants on the Alcazar. It also has an all-digital instrument cluster with 3 different design themes. The cluster also shows you the blind spot camera views when you turn on the side indicators. And in addition to that, both models do well on safety, especially at the higher trims, which get everything from 6 airbags, ABS, electronic stability control, vehicle stability management control, hill start assist, ISOFIX child seat anchors, and more. On prices, there is naturally a difference between the two. In fact, the Creta's top spec models pretty much top off where the Alcazar starts. The Creta also gets more trim levels and, as we said before, more drivetrain options. The Hyundai Alcazar is offered in only 3 trims and prices top off just over 20 lakh rupees. All these prices that you're seeing are, of course, ex-showroom. Both models do, in a sense, cater to different buyers. The Creta is better suited to urban individuals who like all the bells and whistles and yet want a sportier edge to their daily driving. The Alcazar is more of a family mover and yet offers enough and more to create a plush experience, and yes, definitely feels bigger, of course.